Okay.
Right. But I think the overall set of like the whole parsha is and really the whole Sefer Vayikra, since this is our first parsha shir. Thank you. Here we're sorry. We're learning Lilu Nishmat, Phyllis Bas Shmuel of the root. And so I think the whole noseh of Vayikra is essentially it's in this week's parsha. Can you turn that off? The sound that I'm making. V'hit kadishtem, okay, and you shall make yourselves holy. That's really like the idea of all of Sefer Vayikra, right? Okay, it's called Torah's Kohanim. It's all about, obviously it's all about the korbanot, right? Which we don't, on many levels we don't fully understand, but at the same time, there's very much this concept in Sefer Vayikra of what does that mean to be holy? What does that mean? What does that look like as human beings to be holy, right? I mean, Hashem has had angels already. He didn't need more angels. He didn't create us as angels. He created us as physical beings, and then he gave us this mitzvah, this let's call it a mission to be holy. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Okay, so that was kind of like my idea that was like bouncing around my head as I read all the a bunch of different pieces. Okay, so okay, so we'll start with the Shem Shmuel, as is on your sheet. Okay, and it's from the beginning of the parsha. Okay, Vayihi Vayom Hashmini Kara Moshe Aaron Ulevanav Uleziknei Israel. Right, on the 8th day. Okay, so this is after 7 days. Right, whenever you say on the 8th day, it's the idea is that it's after 7 days. Okay, you've already counted 7 days. What does 7 days represent? Nature. Okay, and the 8th day represents above nature. Okay, so this is Moshe calls to Aaron and to Aaron's sons and to the elders of Am Yisrael, and obviously this is the it's meant to be the Chanukat Habayit of the Mishkan. Okay, so what does the Shem Shmuel say? Okay, remember the Shem Shmuel is the grandson of the Kotzker Rebbe. Okay, Reb Shmuel of Sachachov. Adayin pash lagaban ledakdek. Okay, so we're like sort of forced to go into the nitty gritty here.
He's a cousin to the Sfat.
He's a cousin. No, because the Sadamet was married into the family, but the Shem Shmuel was the grandson by blood. The Sadamet wasn't the grandson of the Kotzker. He was related.
The grandson of
No, of the Kotzker, they were friends. Sfat and the Kotzker were oh no, the Chidush Erim and the Kotzker were friends, but he is related, but it's like a in-law kind of relationship. No, but the Shem Shmuel is a grandson. Okay. To like go into the nitty-gritty, to like take apart kind of. Okay. מאחר דבכל 7 ימי המילואים, שהם דוגמת 7 ימי בראשיס, נתחפר ונסתכן כל הקלקול שמצד אהרון בכל 7 ימי הבראשית. Okay, so what the idea of the 7 days of miluim, right, was that Aaron and his sons had to sort of be separated from the rest of the Am. They had to have these 7 days of purification.
What are we translating miluim again now?
Miluim is like right. I mean, it really means reserved. It really is when Moshe was filling the place of Aaron. Okay,
so like a substitution.
It fulfillment. Let's call it days of fulfillment. Okay, yeah, like filling in kind of days. Okay, but also fulfillment of Aaron and his sons.
Completion of the
right. Okay. Like lima, we could say it's limalo, like to fill in, to fulfill, to to go in and to it's really like, I think the mashma'ut of the word is like to fill in where is needed. Okay, or to fulfill what is needed. think that's the idea. Okay, miluim, to fulfill what is needed. So you could take that lots of different ways. That Moshe Rabbeinu was doing the job of the Kohen Gadol, which is not his job, but it needed to be done for the 7 days that were leading up to the Chanukah Bayit. Okay, and Aaron and his sons were doing what they needed to do, which was to get themselves ready to, right, exactly. Okay. So, but 7 days is this also, obviously, it's nature, and it's nature because it echoes the 7 days of creation. Okay. And part of that is that every single day of creation was some kind of like added some new energy into the world. So in any 7 day cycle, you can say that there's all 7 different flavors, okay, of the world. And in this particular case, the idea was nitchaper v'nistaken, to atone for and to correct, to fix whatever needed, kol hakilkul, right? All of the blemishes, all of the ways that they were, behaving as human beings, right? And in that way, okay? So it was like 7 days of there you go. Beautiful. Rectification. Yeah. Rectification.
Rectifying.
Fixing. Okay. Tikun hahu haya legamre shelo nishar od pagam, right? And this tikun.
I mean, it's not as if Aaron did all of Kilkul. Kilkul was, it started from like a Harishon.
Right.
Why does he call it Kilkul mitzad Aaron? Well, that's the same.
No, nitchaper v'nitatken shemitzad Aaron. Meaning he's lechaper and mitaken. Not that the kilkul is kol lo kol. He's put the commas in the other place. Okay, nitchaper shemitzad Aaron. It is cheta egel. That's what they're. But it's not just right. All the damage, messing up. Okay. It's like it's on our backs too. It's like we are forced to. Okay. The whole tikkun, the whole idea was that Aaron was making this big tikkun so that there would not be any pagam left. Okay, that's the idea here. Imken. Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped the sorry. Nothing. Imken, where am I? Pagam kmo shehigadnu la'ayil. Okay, this is a piece of a bigger piece. Sherak chata Yisrael, or rak chet Yisrael, shamur ledorot mechamat shaya hachet besechel aval chatu shel Aaron, chato shel Aaron shaya rak b'masa v'lo v'kavana nistaken legamre. Okay, so meaning also, okay, you could. Let me translate. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the chet of Am Yisrael, of course it's chet ha'egel. Of course we're talking about chet ha'egel, but we're also talking about everything leading up to this point in Jewish history. Okay, so the Shechina was going to come down into the Mishkan, and in order for the Shechina to come down into the Mishkan, there had to be a certain level of tikkun. Okay, that had been affected. Of course, the two biggest pagamim, okay, are Eitz Hadas and Chet HaEgel. But in between, we also have all the years of slavery. We have all the different things that people do. We have all the little things. Okay, so also there was those 7 days were like to mitaken for all of that. Okay, so and I mean you could read it to lots of different ways. Okay, on one hand, you could say that Aaron, right? Am Yisrael did the chet ha'egel, yes, but their chet was in the seichel. I'm going to take back what I said before, okay? Because actually, what's over here. So I use this book as like a resource, yes, and it takes pieces of Chassidus from lots of places, okay? But when I went to so sometimes I like take a picture of it, like a scan. And in that way, I can bring it onto your source sheet. And sometimes it's on Safaria. Sefaria is a great resource online, and they're adding more things all the time. And so the Shem Mishmul is on Sefaria. So if I don't have to take it, it's easier for me to take it from Sefaria than from, right? But the thing is that in this book, sometimes it mitzamtzems, sometimes it skips sentences here and there. And so I went over it, and obviously there's something that comes before this and there's something that comes after this. Okay. The Shem Mishmul doesn't speak in these small pieces, he speaks in very large pieces. And so this is just a chelik of that, okay, a fraction of that. But so I'm going to take back what I said to you before, Sarah. Okay. I do think that it's kilkul shemitzad Aaron, okay, because of this sentence here. I forgot that this sentence was here. I was basing my answer on just what I was seeing in the page here. Okay. I'll tell you why. Here's what it says. The whole idea was that there should not be any more pagam, right? But what it says is that chet Yisrael, shamor ledoros, okay, the chet of Am Yisrael, meaning the chet egel, is kind of like still on our shoulders, yes? Because it was a chet in the seichel. But they themselves were not the funnel through which it happened, right? Aaron Cohen was ultimately, the funnel through which it happened. But what does it say about him? Right? So for him, it was a chet of his hands, but not of his head. For us, it was a chet of our head and our heart, and not of our hands. So in that way, a chet of the hands, like it's a different mechaper, it's a different tikkun, right? A person that, and we know that there are different korbanot for hirhur halev, right? Korban ola is for hirhur halev, and that's actually in a way more chamur. It's more extreme. It's more damaging, right? Something that you really want to do, but you don't do, is in many ways eats away at you a lot more than something that you did once and then it's done. Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing was a comfort. I mean, I did a shir last year or 2 years ago, I think, about, right, that it says at the beginning of the parsha, it says that Moshe says to Aaron, Vayomer Moshe el Aaron, krav el hamizbeach, right? They come close to the mizbeach, and then Rashi says, like, well, wasn't he standing right there? Like, why does Moshe have to tell him? Like, they just did all these things. Why does he have to tell him to come close? And Rashi says it's because he was embarrassed, or the Midrash says, because he was embarrassed because of Chet Egel. And so Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, like, no, for this you were chosen. Like, you were chosen because of your hand in that. Because of your hand in that, you understand what it means, Chet, right? If you have no compassion on the people that do a Chet, and you have no doorway, you don't provide for them a doorway through which they could be mitaken, right? If a person is like, if a kid comes to you and they say like, oh, I did this, and you're like, how could you be so stupid, right? So then there's no tikkun, right? But if you understand where the kid is coming from, if you have some compassion for that, then there can be a tikkun. So Aaron Cohen, through his hands getting dirty with the chit, he actually had compassion for Am Yisrael, okay? But nonetheless, there had to be a tikkun for his involvement in Theta Egel.
But that's like, and that's online. In other words, it had to be done in order for you to be able to be compassionate. You wouldn't have been able to do that without having done.
That's what I just said.
That's what she said. Right.
Yes.
I didn't understand.
Okay. So, okay. Imken. Okay, yeah, fourth line down, right in the middle of the line. Imken chatas shmini shel Aaron lema or lama hiba'a. Okay, so meaning there's a chatas korban that Aaron brings. Okay, and that's the next pasuk. I should have brought it. Vayomer al Aaron, right? That's the second pasuk. Kach lecha egel ben bakar lechatas. Okay, ve'ayel laola. So why does he have to bring a chatas when he's just had 7 days of like Yom Kippur, essentially? Okay, of rectification, right? Why on the 8th day is he all of a sudden bringing a korban chatas? What could he possibly have done during those 7 days? It's kind of like at the end of Yom Kippur. No, well, I mean, it could be on one level. Yeah. But it's above, meaning Shmini is already out of the cycle of 7. Right, so it's like the beginning of the new cycle. Oh, there we go. Okay.
What was he doing?
7 days of purification.
What did they do?
They were separated from the rest of the people. They had whatever they had to say. The Midrash kind of goes into it, but we don't totally know for sure.
He was being purified to be able to serve the nation.
Right.
But I'm saying that was his own physical.
No. The whole thing was that he was selected as he and his sons, right? Were going to be the Kohanim, and he himself was the Kohen Gadol. And the whole idea of the Kohen Gadol, this is a halacha, right? 7 days before Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol mefura, like he separates from his wife, he separates from all of Am Yisrael. He goes into a separate chamber, and he has 7 days of davening and purification and a mikvah, all of these things in preparation for Yom Kippur. That's the Doros. Every year, the Kohen Gadol did that, and Aaron was the first one to do that. No, it's for the it's all of for all of.
That's giving something away. It's not like that's the avodah. And once the avodah he does, the other is what he has to do in order to be on the level that he needs to be.
But still, what's it a chatas for?
I mean, why is it like we're doing something wrong?
Right. Why is he bringing a korban chatas? A korban chatas is when something, when you've sinned, you bring a korban chatas to make up for the sin. So after 7 days of purification, why would he need to bring a chatas? Yeah, that's the question.
Just purification was also thinking about things that you may have done and all kinds of things. So it could be that certain things came to mind.
Except that the korban ola is for that. The korban chatas is for actual physical sins, right? So so he brought an ola also. So that could take care of your of exactly what you just said. A korban ola is for thoughts like machshavot zarot or hirhur lev, but the chatas is for actual sins that were committed.
It's unintentional, right?
Different categories, not necessarily unintentional.
Say, listen, maybe I think that it's correct.
Let's read the piece. Let's go into the piece, okay? Because it's a very interesting idea, and I think that it will be meaningful for everybody here, okay? Ach yesh lomar al pi ma shehigadnu kama pa'amim dekmo ba'olam ha'elyon b'chol shana v'shana b'yom shemet bo v'niftar min ha'olam. Okay, so like every year, on the day that on a yurtzeit, right? On the day that the person was separated from the world, yesh laha niftar aliyah mimakom sheyoshev sham lamakom na'ale yoter. Okay, this is what we say, right? We say lui nishmat, right? That for the person that died, there's this movement from one level to another, from one place to another in Shamayim. Okay? Ve'al kach yesh ma'asim u'pagamim dakim ma'od asher lefi oto ha'olam u'makom shehaya yoshev sham lo hayu nechshavim lepagam v'chet. Okay? So what's the idea? I mean, this is sort of like beyond our understanding, obviously, because it's happening up in Shamayim. But there's an idea that there are things that we do that when we're on one level, they're not considered blemishes or sins. But as soon as we move up a level, all of a sudden, retroactively, they kind of are. Okay? So for example, when a person is in, first grade, there are certain mistakes that they make in their learning how to read that, are they're normal for first grade. Okay. But then all of a sudden in second grade, like those mistakes are no longer acceptable, right? And even though they actually happened in first grade, there's still this no, now you have to I don't know, you're like on a new level. So therefore you I don't know, it's like, right, you have there are greater expectations. That's a greater every year a neshama in Shamayim, yeah, on a yurtzeit, every year a neshama goes through a process of aliyah. They go to a new level in Shamayim. They don't go through. Okay, Becky, let they don't go through a level of chet. What he's saying is that there were chataim that this person did in their life. Okay, that when they go up to Shamayim, okay? Those chatzaim are like nitaken. They're nitukan, whatever. They're fixed. Okay, they're corrected. But then when a person moves up a level, so then there's like a new way, there's a new level that they're on, and therefore there's a different aspect of that chait that actually still now needs to be corrected, because now it's like they're more careful. Let me give you an example. Let me finish reading, and then I'm going to give you a concrete example. Okay. Dakim ma'od, also, that's what he says, right? Every year they're smaller and smaller, different things that need to be corrected. Okay. Mikol makom lefi masat olam hachadash shezocha bo gam ze nachshav lechet tzarich miruk. Is that the word? That's actually meruk, the tikkun gam lazeh. Yeah, no, meruk. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, we have to. Oh, to clean it up. Okay, there you go. Right. So from the new level, it has to be cleared out, and there has to be a tikkun for that. So let me give you a concrete example. Okay, when you have if those windows over there, okay, but they're I'm sure they're dirty. Yes. Let's just call it, right? It's not bothering any of us. Okay. In a space shuttle, when every like particle that's in the space shuttle matters, the dirt on those windows would be considered a life-threatening situation. That's the difference. Okay. When you're living your life on like a certain level, right? So then whatever, we have taivas, we have all kinds of desires. Yes. The higher up you move, the more careful or the more sensitive you are to those kinds of taivas. Okay. Or like, let's give another example. When you're little, you use certain language, or when you're, these kids on this trip, they use like certain language. And I was like, oh my God, stop talking like this, right? Because I've become more and more sensitive to that kind of language. So as you move up in your own personal growth in this world, or he's using the example of a neshama in the next world, the neshama becomes more and more sensitive on that level.
But the essence of what it's saying is, when you reach that level, as you're going up, you have more charata.
Yes.
For things that you may have done when you were on that level.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. And therefore, when you look back, there's different aspects that you still have to litaken, because it's from a different perspective. Right. And you're correcting it from a different point of view, from a different perspective. Yes?
Before.
Every year it happens. Every year. Yes. Well, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But that's what the Sfarim Kadoshim say. That's why we say. Why do you say Kaddish on a yurtzeit?
No, to God, to keep going.
Keep going. Do you think there's one level in Shamayim? Do you think Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting on the same level as my Uncle Louis? I don't know. I mean, maybe my Uncle Louis was a tzaddik. I don't know, but like, there's levels in Shamayim. Closeness to Hashem. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, because he's going to explain how this applies. But it's interesting, right? It's an interesting concept. V'zehu ha'inyan shel amirat kaddish al av ve'em shenifteru le'olamam mikama shanim. Right? This is why we say kaddish for our father or our mother that died many years ago. Ken nami yesh lamar ba'aharon. Okay, so now we say this about Aharon. B'yom hashmini nit'ala aliyah gdola me'od. On the eighth day, he went up to a very high level, because all of a sudden he was the Kohen Gadol. All the 7 days before that, he wasn't yet really the Kohen Gadol. He was preparing to become the Kohen Gadol. And all of a sudden, now he's the Kohen Gadol. Ki shiva yimei hamiluim hayu romzin leolam hateva. 7 days before are hint at the at nature. Kemispar Yitzirat Shivat Yemei Bereshit, like the 7 days of creation. V'yom hashmini romez leolam shelemala v'rochev al hashiva. That, and the 8th day hints at something that's higher than that sits upon the 7, but it's beyond this world, beyond nature. V'hu shinui k'mei olam leolam, and that's like going from one world to another. It's like when you're in, this happens with our kids, especially here in the Gush, right? It's like they're in 8th grade. They're like the big kids on the block, right? They're the oldest in the school, and then all of a sudden they're in 9th grade, and now they're the youngest in the school, and it's a shift in perspective. It's all of a sudden the context is different, and therefore your situation is different, and you have to, change according to the situation that you're in. Okay. Tziczuche, I love that word. Even though he like shined up Pagam, Sha'ad Kolo Kachashiv, okay? Or Tziczuche Pagam Sha'ad Kolo Kachashiv. So there were little tiny scratches or blemishes, like when you shine your candlesticks, right? So from afar they look really shiny, and then you come really close and you're like, oh, there's still a spot there and there's still a spot there. Okay, so that's like what happened. That Aaron Kohen, that level of 7 days, he did all the cleaning that he could possibly do, but now he's on a new level, and all of a sudden from this new perspective, it was like, whoa, oh, wow. Like, how could I have done such a thing, right? And now, כשהגיע יום השמיני, צריך להתקן. It's nice, right? Right? So I think it's very hopeful. I think it's very beautiful, because it's this idea of like constantly growing, right? And it's not that we should, chas v'shalom, that anyone should think that we feel bad and then we feel worse. No, that's not the point. The point is, A, not to be complacent, and B, that when you do all of a sudden feel like bad again about something, actually realize that it means that it's because you've grown. It's because you've grown to a new level. And when you grow to a new level, you see things with new eyes, and therefore you see, oh, now I need to fix that part of it, because now I'm a more precision instrument. Now I'm in a different place. And therefore, I see the different sensitivities in a different way.
You really have to separate yourself, keep yourself away from whatever it is.
Well, you just have to keep on walking forward. The more you walk forward, the further away from that thing you get, and then your perspective changes.
Well, I just realized.
There you go. What was her name?
They have put those flags, before they were stubborn. I can't remember the mother's name.
Okay, but we do, father. David. So her neshama should have an aliyah. What do we say that? We say that all the time. The neshama should have an aliyah. What does it mean? There you go. There you go. So this is for her. Okay, hashgacha pratis. Okay, next. Okay, another facet to a similar, the same kind of idea. Okay, this is such a sweet and beautiful, just like tiny little thing. Okay, so it's from Slonim. Oh, whoops, that's supposed to say of, not Slonim. Okay, of Slonim. Okay, Rav Avram of Slonim. So Slonim is the Nesiva Shalom. Yes. Okay, so it's on a different pasuk. Okay, the pasuk is a little bit later in the parsha. It's just a few psukim later. Okay. Vayiklu es asher tziva Moshe. Okay, so this is all part of this opening procedure. Okay, before the Shekhinah comes down. Right. This is all before the Shekhinah comes down. Okay, so vayiklu et asher tziva Moshe el pnei ohel moed. They took what Moshe had commanded them to take, and they brought them to the front of the Ohel Moed. Vayikrivu kol ha'edah, and the entire edah, the entire community came close. Vayamdu lifnei Hashem, and they stood before Hashem. Vayomer Moshe, and Moshe said, Zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem ta'asu. This is what Hashem has commanded you to do. Vayera aleichem kvod Hashem. and the glory of Hashem will be revealed to you. Okay, it's such a beautiful concept, and we know it doesn't happen for a couple of psukim. Aaron has a little bit of a panic attack. Okay, but then beautiful. We have the beautiful pasuk that says, right at the beginning of the next. No, sorry. He does all the things that he has to do, and at the beginning of where am I? Okay, and right before at the end of the second aliyah, they bless everyone, and vayera kvod Hashem el kol ha'am, and the glory of Hashem was then revealed to all of the people. Okay, so but basically this is the beginning. Okay, they're all supposed to come. They're all supposed to bring their stuff. Okay, and this is the beginning of this procedure where they're going to see Hashem's presence. Okay, hakavana lehorot. Okay, so the pasuk vayikrivu kol ha'eda. Okay, that they all came close. V'yamdu lifnei Hashem, and they stood like before Hashem. Hakavana lehorot derech Hashem lemi shelo zacha lehargish noam v'ta'anug ba'avodas Hashem. Okay, so the idea here is to show, one of the ways that we can read these psukim is to show the way to get to Hashem for those who aren't yet feeling enjoyment and feeling like, connected. Yeah, exactly. They're not feeling it, right? Okay, which we know plenty of people who are not feeling it, right? That you have to just hold on. Okay, and I think this is really good advice for us. You have to just hold on with your simple faith. Okay, simple doesn't mean easy. It just means, clear, clean, okay? Faith, just faith it till you make it, okay? Until Shamayim has rachamim on you, and Bezrat Hashem, you'll feel it, okay? But basically there's a beautiful, right? I said faith it till you make it. That's a Gedalia Fenster line, okay? He said, right, we all are familiar with fake it till you make it. Yes, Gedalia Fenster, he's coming on Wednesday night to have a conversation with Rav Shlomo at our shul. You're all invited. It's on flyers. I'm personally inviting all of you. He teaches Breslov. He speaks in very, very plain language. So he's drawn a big following of people who need to be spoken to in plain language, which is all of us, really. His name is Gedalia Fenster. He's a teacher in America. He's here. He's coming on Wednesday night to Efrat. You should come. It's at our shul, Shirat David. I believe it's at 8:00 or 8:30. I'm not really sure, but I can. Fake it till you make it is a statement. I didn't make it up. It's been around for fake it till you make it.
Pretend until you really feel it.
Yeah, like if you're not happy, smile, and then you'll become happy. That's the idea.
And you're right, exactly that.
Yeah.
There's big monolith contagious.
Right. Mitoch lo lishma ba lishma. That's it's Chazal. Okay. From so you're at a wedding and you're not or Purim, right? You're not really feeling it, whatever. Start dancing and it'll lift up your endorphin. I mean, there's scientific research behind this also, right? But and then you lift up the room and then everybody starts being happy, exactly like you just said, Indy. Okay, so but Gedalia Fenster changed it a little bit, and it's a great line. He says, "Faith it till you make it. Faith it till you make it." Right? So just have faith in Hashem until you get there. Until you get there, believe that you'll get there. We'll all get there. Okay, just keep on having faith in Hashem. Amuna. Okay, so. Mashal, like there's a mashal that someone who wants to get into the palace of the king, even though they don't let him come in, he stands there and he waits and he's looking and he's, just in case, until they see oh, he really, really wants to come in. He's really a nice guy. He's looking so forward, okay, let him in, right? That's the idea. Okay. And this is what the Torah is saying in these psukim. Vayikrivu kol ha'edah. They all came close. Shiratzu lehitkarev elav yisbarach. They wanted to come close to Hashem. They wanted to come close to him. Ma me'asu. What did they do? V'yamdu lifnei Hashem. They stood there. Amdu v'chiku be'emunah pshuta bli hargashat ta'anug. They stood there and they waited. They didn't know what they were waiting for. They wanted it so badly. They didn't feel it. They just stood there and they were like, please, Hashem, we want to feel it. We want to see you. We want to be, injected with this, great enjoyment that, Moshe and Aaron seem to be feeling. Vayomer Moshe, zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem tasu. And Moshe says, yes, this is the thing that Hashem commanded you to do. Hainu et habechina hazot ta'asu tamid. This, do exactly what you're doing all the time. V'al yedei zeh tizku vayera elechem kavod. Okay? Vayera alechem kavod. Okay, so through that, do that, keep on coming, keep on showing up. I think that's the idea, right? Just keep on showing up. We need to keep on showing up. We show up to Purim. We show up to Shabbos. We show up to, Malav Malka. We show up to Pesach. We show up. We clean our houses. We do what we need to do. So on one level, we do it, even if we're not feeling it, we do it. And hopefully that leads to Hashem having rachamim on us and helping us to feel it also. But that's like such a great piece of advice for life, right? Just keep going, keep on doing. Until you feel it. And then it's not mechanical anymore, right? The idea is that you're opening the door.
You do it with children. Children don't have the inner belief or anything, but you keep doing it with them, keep doing it to them. And you hope eventually they'll get that.
Right. So it's funny because little children do, right? Little children get so excited. I mean, we have kids we have this little boy in our shul. Every time the Aron Kodesh is open, he's like, like he gets like so excited, So like a 2-year-old does have that, but it's like it gets like beaten out of them by around age 7 or something like that, And then they're not so, it's not cool anymore, right? Exactly. Until 19 or so, unfortunately. And then at 19, they're like, oh wait, I can think my own thoughts. I don't have to do everything that my friends are doing, right? Different kids, different ages, but like, so yeah, but we do it. We keep on, I think it's interesting. It's like the baby learning in the womb, the whole Torah, right? And then they get, right? Like, why do we need to forget it? Because we have an innate connection to Torah. It's in all of us. It's just in some of us, it's more covered up for many more years than others. And, we need to work on it. But, no matter how, if you keep on uncovering, it will be revealed. It will be revealed. Okay. Yeah. You just keep on going. Keep on going. Okay. And we'll do this Kedushas Levi. Okay. So then the next two have to do with eating. Okay. Because eating is one of those things that is a gray area. Okay. So this is the parsha where we get laws of kashrus. Yes. So it's not until we skip a chapter and we go up to Perek Yud Aleph, okay, Psukim Aleph and Bet. So Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe ve'el Aaron lemor lehem, okay. Hashem spoke to Moshe and said, right, ve'el Aaron, but the Mefarshim tell us that it means that Hashem spoke to Moshe to tell him to speak to Aaron. Lemor alehem, to tell Elazar and Itamar. That's the alehem. Okay. Dabru el bnei Yisrael lemor, speak to bnei Yisrael and say, Zot hachaya asher tochlu mikol habehema asher al haaretz. This is the living creature. This is the animal that you should eat from all of the other animals that are on the earth. Okay. And then we get all the laws of kashrus. So, or, the laws of the animals of kashrus. So, Kedushas Levi says, V'yesh l'daktik, my lomar eleihem. Okay, it's alehem. It's an unusual construct. Okay, we don't usually get this lomar alehem. It also the way that it's vowelized, right? We say el al, right? Here it's alehem, which is like a funny thing. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I read it with Rashi's mefarish already, right? Because what is otherwise the pasuk doesn't make any sense. Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe ve'el Aaron lemor aleihem, right? And then the next part is Dabru el Bnei Yisrael. So you can't say that aleihem is Am Yisrael, right? So that's why Rashi says, okay, it's Elazar and Itamar, who are the two sons that are left, right? This is after Nadav and Avihu. Okay. So when I was little, I used to confuse Datan and Aviram with Nadav and Avihu. It was very, yeah, very bad. Okay. Yesh l'daktik. Okay. My lemor aleihem. Behanira dehine Rashi zal zichron alivcha chatav al pasuk ha'elech v'karati lach isha mineket min ha'ivrios. You all recognize this, right? That Miriam, little Miriam, when she watched her brother Moshe in the Teva, that she, right, she saw Batya, Bat Paro, whatever, take the baby out of the water, and the baby was crying, and they tried to feed the baby, and the baby wouldn't take and wouldn't nurse from anyone. And so Miriam says, should I go and get a nursemaid from among the Hebrews? Okay, because obviously this was a Jewish Hebrew baby. Okay. Shehechazirato al mitzrios harbe linok velo yana. Right? They tried to get him to nurse from many of the mitzriot, and he wouldn't lo yanak. He wouldn't nurse. Lefishahu atid ledaber im hashchina. Why? And the Mefarshim say because he was going to speak with Hashem, right? Lefichach lo ratza linok mitame. So therefore, he didn't want to nurse from something that was tame. Mishum shatid lahinabot liYisrael mipi hashchina. Because in the future, this mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu was going to give prophecy, like it says in the Chazal say that that Hashem spoke through the throat of Moshe. So the words came out of Moshe's mouth, but it was really like Hashem speaking through Moshe, and therefore with this mouth that was going to say such holy things and speak, ki'ilu for Hashem and with Hashem. So he couldn't nurse from something tummy. There was like a. And it's very interesting, right? Because this goes back to what we were saying before, right? Really, like he's a 3-month-old baby. How old was he by this point? Right? He was like 3 months old. Really doesn't matter. I remember when they talked about the Rebbe, that when the Rebbe was born, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that so when he was born, his mother was given many instructions by his future father-in-law eventually, that or possibly even from the Rebbe, but from the Rebbe Rashab maybe, but that they should wash his hands every time he eats. And you think, like, I mean, have you ever seen anyone? So my brother, I remember when my nephew was born, my brother was living in Crown Heights, and I stayed with them a lot because I was single, and he was my oldest nephew, and he was like the love of my life. Baruch Hashem, he's now a father himself. He has 2 little girls, Kana and Hara. And I remember he was this tiny baby, and I remember like it would be like 3 o'clock in the morning, and my sister-in-law was like really dedicated, and she actually would get up out of her bed and nurse her hands and nurse his hands. Have you ever tried to wash a newborn baby's hands? Like it's like they're like all over the place, and you're like trying to, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, seriously? Like, like what does it really matter? But on some level, it really matters, right? This is exactly what we were talking about before, right? That when you're so super sensitive, everything matters. Everything matters. When the baby is gonna be Moshe Rabbeinu, it matters.
What kind of music do you play? Like, even when
That's right. When the baby's still in the womb, that's exactly right. It all matters. It all counts. It all matters. And there's less tikkunim that have to be done later, and there's less layers of sand on top of that neshama. And okay. So, the wording? Zichrono livracha. Because, like we say Chazal. No, some people do it always. Some people do it. Like Chazal. We say Chazal. Chachmeinu lizichrono livracha. Chazal. Yeah. Like the Arizal, it's incorporated into his name, Arizal, right? We do say it. Just some people, it's a style thing. Yeah, right. Meanwhile, he wrote Ramban, but he wrote Hakadosh. Right. Okay, there's always something. Katav, ma she'asra lanu haTorah, elu hatmeim mishum she'elu molidim teva achzariut beguf ha'adam. Okay, why are certain animals considered tameh? Why is the Torah, what is the Torah? It's funny, right? The Torah prohibits these things from us because in their goof or in their nature, they would create achzariut in us, which means like what?
No,
it means like yeah, cruelty. That's what it means. Like violence, I was thinking.
They say you're not supposed to feed if you have a dog. Okay? You're not supposed to feed the dog raw meat. Because it turns into legs. Right. Beautiful. That's good. My dog won't eat. Yeah, that's besides the point. It's a different generation. But yeah, you can build this. You can grow lots of different things in people and in animals, right? If whatever you feed is what gets fed, right? Meaning that's why also like when we learn when you feed with positivity, when you feed with positive encouragement, so that's what gets fed in your kid, right? When you feed with negativity so that's what gets fed, right? It's not that when we feed with negativity, the good rises. No, when we feed with negativity, they get fed negativity and they become more negative. Yes. So that's like the idea here. Okay. That these animals would create in us like a connection to cruelty. V'Yisrael am kadosh tzrichin liyot lahem midat chesed. And because we are a holy nation, we need to nurture within us the midah of chesed. So, and not to cover it up, right? V'la'atid lavo atid hakadosh baruch hu ledaber im kol ish miYisrael ve'isha. Right? In the future, Hashem is going to speak to every single one of us. Hashem is going to speak to every single one of us. We're going to hear Hashem's voice. Kaviyachol. Like it says in Yoel, your sons and your daughters will be Nevi'im. They will prophesy. And therefore, because Hashem is going to speak with all of them, all of us, and again, like it says about Moshe Rabbeinu, how the mouth that's going to speak to the Shechina is not shayach, shouldn't have a connection to food that is tameh. V'zeu remez v'yidaber hulu lemor alehem. Okay, and this is the hint in the pasuk that Hashem spoke right to Moshe and to Aaron and said, "Daber lemor alehem." Haremez sha'ani atid lemor alehem l'chol echad ve'echad. That I will at some point in the future speak to every single one of them. L'lekach lo yachlu davar tameh. And that's why that it's like a weird word, alechem, that I will speak to all of you. I don't know why it's not elechem, but maybe that's just rules of grammar. It could be that just the way that the word is vowelized. But that's according to the Kedushas Levi, that's the alechem, not Elazar ve'itamar, like Rashi says, but all of us. Okay, that's we are alluded to in this verse, and therefore we all have these laws of kosher food on us. Okay, last piece, very cute, small little piece. Okay, it's from Rabbi Chanoch Tzvi of Bendin. Okay, his book is called the Kahen Pe'er. Okay, Ita b'Toras Kohanim. So it says in the Toras Kohanim, Al Zot Achaya, right? That's the pasuk that we're talking about. V'chulu asher al haaretz, right? That was the end of the pasuk. Yes, that the these are the right. Dabru al bnei Yisrael lemor zot hachaya asher tachlu mikol habeima asher al haaretz. And whatever, he was a Hasidic Rebbe. Doesn't matter. Kahen Pe'er is the name of his book. Okay. Lima'et ma shebayam chutz midagim. Okay, so in saying that, right, we know that those psukim, the first two psukim are not about fish in the sea, right? Or to exclude. That's what I mean, right? To exclude everything that's in the water except for the dagim,
וזה יש לומר, דעיקר החייס כאשר דבקין בשורש ומרוחקין מהאדמה, מהארציוס, okay? That we want, the essence of life, really, is that we connect to our source and distance ourselves from the ground, which is a reference to like being what's the word, like my mother would say grubba, being grubba, right? Like artsius is like we all know how it's used in modern Hebrew, right? And artsy, right? And right, so the but like an amaretz, right? From being, distance yourself from being what's the word I'm trying to think of? Coarseness. That's the word. Okay, coarse, yes. Vizesha Rabbi Yisrael, right? It's like a cute way. Yisrael Chi, the Rizhiner, okay? The Rizhiner, who was the great grandson of the Maggid of Mezrich, okay? The head of the line of Rizhin, the great Hasidic Rebbe. Okay, what he used to say, Amar la anashav shemevakesh mehem sheyu al kol panim tefach gavoha min haaretz, that they should always walk a tefach above the ground. So that's, but he says that this is what it means, right? V'zeh asher al haaretz sheyicholin liyot al haaretz, that you can be on the ground, lo liyot rishayim b'chayehem kruim mesim, right? But not to be Rishayim, right? Because Rishayim in their lifetime are called mesim. They don't actually live because they're so stuck. Vehema gam b'chaim b'tocha adama, and that's like what it means to also live like in the ground. Lo al har, it's not above the ground. V'talui harbe b'ma'achalot, and it depends a lot on your eating. Okay, so basically what he's saying is you should be asher al haaretz, right? We don't want to be coarse people. We want to be above the ground. We don't want to be, we eat what's upon the ground, but we don't let it pull us into the ground. That's the idea. Okay. And there are certain foods or certain ways of eating that pull us into the ground, that make us coarse. Chocolate in and of itself is definitely not, it's not betocha adama, definitely not. It can be eaten in a holy and spiritual way, right? It's not as long as it's kosher. It brings joy. Right. As long as the food is kosher, it can be al haaretz. Okay, meaning it is something that we can eat and consume, but it depends on us, that we have to be al kol panim tefach gavoha min haaretz. We have to distance ourselves from that kind of behavior. And one of the tools that we use to distance ourselves from that kind of behavior is eating kosher food. So right? And we should be holy. So we had 4 different ways here. Okay. I'm gonna just quickly. Okay. The first thing was that we said we're gonna keep on moving forward. And when we look back and we see like things that bother us about our behavior, we know that it's because we're moving up, because we're still moving forward. And as we move forward, we become more sensitive about what we did, in our previous iteration, we'll call it. Okay. Then we learned about coming close to Hashem and wanting to come close to Hashem. And if we keep on trying to come close to Hashem, eventually we'll get in. Okay. And then we learned about eating kosher food, okay, in 2 different ways, right? This idea that Hashem is going to speak to all of us in the future, and therefore we have to be careful about what we put in our mouths. We also, by the way, have to be careful about what comes out of our mouths. Absolutely. Okay. And the last thing is that to keep in mind, right? Well, what are we commanded? Asher al haaretz. Okay. To be al haaretz, not to be betoch haaretz. Okay. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all be blessed to do all these daily things in a very holy way. Yes. I'm going to do that right now while I'm sitting here. He's really spectacular. He speaks in a very, like I said, he speaks in a very, very down to earth way. He looks like, he lives in Miami, and he looks like he lives in Miami. Just so you know, he's great with Shidduch. He's like probably the most tachlis Torah teacher out there at the moment. Yeah. No, he's really brilliant. And I actually love Dafka. Oh, that's the flyer. So you send it. Yeah. I Dafka love that he looks the way he looks, because he doesn't, what he looks like and what comes out of his mouth are completely two different things, which is amazing. I think it's just in Hebrew, but or panecha ba'anglit or something like that.
Do you want